Will you close that door real quick? Hey everybody, my name's Mindy and I'm the Early Care and Education Manager at Smart Start of New Hanover County. And I'm also a CRM teacher, which means I've been trained in the Community Resiliency Model, which was developed from the Trauma Resource Institute of California, out of California. And the CRM model provides some skills to help one be resilient or learn how to be resilient from a traumatic event or a highly stressful event. So today I want to talk about or talk to early childhood professionals and those that are currently working to care for kids whose parents are in the front line, whose parents are essential workers, as they are still open and also putting their health at risk while continuing to care for children. So thank you very much, you guys, for doing what you do. I do want to say that the skills that I'm going to share with you, just a few of them today, are you're also going to be able to use with the kids in your classroom. So you can take them, definitely use them for yourself, use them with those in your home, but for the ones in your classroom, because you know they are scared. They're out of their routines at home. They may not be able to see their parents right now. So they also need you to guide them through some of these skills so that they can cope too. So I do want to share with you just a quick definition of resiliency that Elaine Miller Krauss wrote. She is the developer of CREM, and she says resiliency is an individual's and community's ability to identify and use individual and collective strengths in living fully with compassion in the present moment and to thrive while managing the activities of daily living. And that's exactly what that is, thinking about being resilient and somebody that can bounce back from something traumatic, something that is able to pick themselves up and do what they need to do. So to start with, you may have heard about your resilient zone or your okay zone or your chill zone. And that's the zone where you are good, you're able to function, you're able to do what you need to do on a daily basis. With some ups and downs. You may have things that come through your day that make you upset, or you get really excited or are anxious about something, but you're able to work through those and continue on with what you're doing. But there may be things that trigger you and bump you out of your resilient zone, things that cause you great anxiety, things that make you depressed for a while. Anything can trigger that, where you get bounced out of it. And so to get back into your resilient zone, you need some skills, like I said, that I'm going to share with you. So how do you bring yourself back to regulating your nervous system and being able to then function and do what you need to do on a daily basis? I do want to share just a quick picture of what we're talking about, kind of your resilient zone. As you can see, you have highs and lows throughout your day. But the skills that we're going to talk about, you're able to get back into that zone. One of the first things, though, to share with you out of all the skills is a help now skill. And that's something that you may find that you need in the moment, right there. Something has triggered you and you can't focus on anything else. So you need to get right back in your zone to continue on. So if you think about being in a classroom, and you may have a couple children that just got in, a little scuffle, and I know that's stressful and probably bumps you out of your zone. But in order for you to help them, you have to calm yourself first. So help now is one of those strategies that you can use right off the bat so you can get back into your zone to then work with the kiddos that are having some trouble. So help now means that you're going to do something quick to focus back to the present and what's going on. So that means maybe you grab a glass of water and you slowly take some sips while you're just focusing on the water and how cool it is, the ice, whatever's going on with the drink. It can be you look around your environment and five things that are blue, or pick out the plants that are in your classroom, or it can be counting backwards from 20, just something that you can do instantly that's going to bring you back into your zone right then and there, so then you can get to what you need to get to. It's quickly regulating and getting you back into that zone, so you can move on, like I said, to get to those kids. Because if you're not calm, then you can't help them be calm. And so that's what CRM is all about, giving you those skills to use for yourself, but then in your classroom. So moving on to some of the main skills are what they call the big three, the basic three. There are 6 skills with CRM. You can see tracking is always in the middle. We're going to talk about tracking, grounding, and resourcing right now. Those 3 are the basic ones that help anyone get back to or work more towards that zone. So tracking, if you think of tracking, is reading your nervous system and feeling what's going on inside your body. So it focuses inward. So if you're tracking, think about when you're excited about something. And so I'm going to think about my nervous system inside and what that feels like for me. It may be that my heart is pounding because I'm really excited. I might be warm and tingly because I'm excited about what's going on. That's part of tracking and me noticing what's happening. If I'm feeling, if I've had a trigger that's from a highly stressful event, I may be anxious about that, which also may have some of those same feelings, some rapid heart beating, my palms, I may be sweaty, I may be cool to the touch. So there's a variety of things that you can track depending on what it is you're feeling at that moment, what has triggered you to bump out of your zone. The second part of that I said is resourcing. And resourcing is something that makes you feel calm or at peace or pleasant. So if you think for just a second about something that you love to do, or something that you like, a person, it can be person, family, pets, things, places, it can be a variety of things, anything that you when you think about it, calms you and kind of starts to reset your nervous system to bring you back into your resilient zone. So I'm going to pause for just a second and let you get that into your head. What is something that brings you joy or is pleasant or is calm? And if you have that picture in your head, I do. One of my resources is the beach. That is my place, and I know that for sure because if I have been triggered, if I've had a stressful day at work and I want to help get back into my zone and to calm down, then if I'm able to, I will go to the beach just even for 10 minutes, even if it's freezing cold, just to be there to kind of reset my nervous system. So if I'm triggered, like now, as we're all at stay home quarantine mode and our routines are out of whack, me going to that, using that resource as I'm learning how to have new routines working from home, thinking about that resource to calm back down and do what I need to do. Because if I'm overwhelmed all the time and I'm not able to work or do what I need to do, then it's hard for me to function. And I will share with you, actually on my laptop that I use, I actually have a sticky note on it that says Resilient Zone to remind me when I get triggered, just even a little bit. And I may not go out of my zone, but I need to kind of bring it back in and regulate. I think of that, the beach, and one of my resources. So in going back to tracking, when I think about that beach and what I may be doing there, I notice that my heart rate slows down. I'm able to feel peaceful. My breathing slows down and I kind of relax. I can feel my shoulders relax. And that all is helping me, my nervous system, get back into that zone and regulate itself. So if I'm out of that zone, I can't focus on anything. You guys thinking about being in your center, even working with coworkers and directors, you guys, I know, are stressed. And those behaviors may not be typical if you're, bickering with one another, probably because you're out of your zone. And so that's how it's manifesting itself, just like the kids you work with. They don't always know that they're upset because they haven't seen mom in a week because she's been having to stay at the hospital if she's a nurse. But it comes out in them being frustrated and maybe hitting others. They're out of that zone. So, can you share with them resources or ask them what they love to do or what's their favorite sport or their favorite toy or what they love to do with their mom? Something pleasant to take their mind away from them being upset so that they can calm down and get back into their resilient zone. And then you can work through what the issue is, why they hit their friend. Because if they are upset, they're not going to be able to talk to you about that because they don't know. They just know they got mad and they needed an outlet for that to happen. So resources is a good thing to use with kids because they all have something that they love to do. And if they don't, that's okay. We have learned in our training and heard from others as examples of kids that say, nothing brings me pleasure. I'm just upset. There's nothing that I like to do. It can be something made up. So they can think of even imagination things or superhero characters that aren't real, those sort of things, anything that they can think of. If they'd love to go on a trip to Disney, if that brings them some calmness, then that's what you can use, and then talk to them and track how they're feeling inside. The other basic three is grounding. And grounding is our relationship between our bodies and the present moment. So, specifically, our bodies making contact with something that's supportive in our environment. So, again, this is something that when you're triggered out of your zone, you ground to focus on the present and something besides what has just bumped you out of your resilient zone. So that would be as I'm sitting in my chair, and if I've been triggered, I might think about my feet on the floor, and if my shoes are off, feeling the carpet underneath me, and feel if my feet feel heavy. Do my legs feel heavy while I'm sitting? If I'm sitting up straight, can I feel from the base of my spine up through my neck and what that feels like? Um, can I feel my rear end on the chair? Is the chair I'm sitting in is soft and cushiony, so I can definitely focus on that, what that feels like. But I can also be laying on the floor and feeling the floor support my whole body and focusing on what that feels like. There are also some yoga poses that when I've worked with teachers that they have, if they know yoga, can do certain things. There are some poses that ground them. And one of the favorite things, or one of the cool things that you can do with kids is for them to ground doing a tree, being a tree, and what that looks like. As they stand with their feet on the ground, and that can be their roots, and their body is the trunk, and thinking about what a tree trunk feels like. It's sturdy, it's strong, and then making the branches with their arms, leaves with their fingers, and talking about what that feels like. Are their branches long, short? Do they sway in the wind? Those things bring them back to the present moment. And then you go back to tracking, and did that calm them down because they focused on one thing? They focused on how their feet felt on the floor, or how their arms, if they stood up against a wall, was the wall cold? whatever it was that was being supportive of their body in the environment. Again, it helps to regulate that nervous system. All that has to do with getting you back into the resilient zone, whatever, if your resilient zone is small or wide. All these different skills, tracking, resourcing, and grounding, are part of things that you can do now to help yourself as you're in your classrooms and you're worried about your family and you're worried about the kids that you're working with. But also, like I said, as you see these kids who have been sad for a few weeks for whatever reason, or are really, really anxious about what's going on, find a resource for them and talk to them about what makes them feel good and happy, and then work with them on what that feels like in their body, something that calms them down as they're what's their heart rate doing? Are they sweating? Those sorts of things. And then you can work with them, like I said, on focusing on the emotion and whatever it was that they were doing that you needed to get them back into their zone and start to regulate their nervous system again, because that's where we ultimately want us to be, and the children that you guys are working with in that zone, where they're going to be happy and sad and worried and mad, but they can function because those are normal emotions. And then when they get bumped out and have those big emotions, also normal, but you want to help them learn how to cope with those and get regulated back into their resilient zone and regulate their nervous system. So the last thing I want to share with you is the iChill app that Try has created. You can download it from any of your smartphone stores. And I want to share with you, this is what the iPhone app looks when you open it up. And you can see right in the corner there is the quick button for help now. So if you're in that moment where you need something fast, but you're not able to figure, what is it that you want to focus on, you can open the app, click on help now, and it'll give you some good things to do right there in the moment that you need so that you can calm down. It also goes into more about the resilient zone, more about the skills, and a lot more information about CRM and what it does. But one of the cool things about it is that Elaine Miller-Krauss, who I said is the creator of CRM, takes you through a grounding exercise. So that will be a good piece for you to go in and do with her. It'll give you just an example of what that may look like, something that you can use in the future, and how to ground when you get bumped out of your zone. So hope you are having a good day wherever you are, and I'm glad you checked in with us. Again, feel free to share this with your other early childhood professionals and the teachers that you work with in your childcare programs and your family childcare homes, because right now we all need just a little bit or a lot of skills to help us stay in our zone, to regulate our nervous system, so that we can do what we need to do on a daily basis, whatever that looks like, so that we can function and work through this. Thanks. Hope you guys have a great day.